FM.
So on the other side of my screen is Miles Cassidy-Rice, now Doctor Miles. We know each other from, he was my personal assistant for 4 months back in 2018. So then let's come on, Miles.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Sorry, I missed that.
So let's go back into your early career as a youngster. I know football was your main sport. Was that the only sport you did growing up, or did you do any other sports?
Yeah, football was my only sport. I didn't play any other sports, unfortunately, but now I have a greater appreciation for other sports. So I played as a goalkeeper when I was growing up, and everyone knows you have to be crazy to play in that position, but I really enjoyed it and continue to play today recreationally. I don't really compete to a serious level anymore.
And so, what was it about being? Why did you just want to be a goalkeeper and not like an outfield player?
Ask 4-year-old me, I guess. I don't know. When I was very young, I just decided I wanted to be in a unique position, and ended up deciding goalkeeper, probably because my brother would take me out and just kick balls at me. So he must have kind of pushed me in that direction. But now I don't know why, from a very young age, I always just chose to be a goalkeeper. Instead of being that kid that didn't want to be put in goal, I was the kid that wanted to be put in goal. I've always played in the position.
Mm. And you did do it quite well because aged this must have been when you were in primary school, secondary school, but you actually were picked for England at the World Cup Youth Football Championship at some point, didn't you?
Yes, I played for elite football, and we entered the Gothia Youth World Cup. So I competed 2 years in a row for that team, and we got to go and play in Sweden for it's a week-long tournament. It's really awesome. You get to play against teams from all over the world. I remember the first year we got knocked out to an Indonesian team, and the second year it was to a German team. So make of that what you will.
Was it your fault the team lost, or was it your defence?
In a way, you could say it was my fault. I got a concussion in the first game at one of the tournaments. So I didn't actually play the
Okay,
rest of the week, but I was there to support.
fair enough, fair enough. And then 16 years old, you were actually watched by some scouts at Southampton and Brighton as well.
Yeah, very good research. So
Yeah,
yeah, I am. I had some scouts watching me from Portsmouth, Brighton, and Southampton. That was when I was playing just for my Sunday league team. Nothing came of it. Unfortunately, I never heard from those scouts, but I can always say that they were there at some point.
So what happened after that? Did football just sort of die out for you, or did you not want to take it up to that next level, or non-league? What happened after that?
No, football's always been a big part of my life, and it's kind of what I wanted to build my career around. So after I turned 16 and moved to college, I studied at South Downs College, and played for their college teams as well. And if you're not aware of that program, they kind of linked with Havant and Waterlooville. So I was hopeful that something would come up from that. Unfortunately, it didn't. But I still wanted to keep trying in football. So then Southampton, or Solent University now, they offer a football studies undergraduate degree. So I went and studied there, and wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to go, but I felt that that program would kind of give me experience in all different sides of football and not just the playing side as well. So I studied there, and then actually found a passion for sports psychology while I was on that degree. So I kind of, from that direction, kind of shifted focus a little bit, and moved into more of the coaching side, but then also have been working towards working as a mental performance consultant since then as well. So as you know, Peter, my life took a very big turn after university. My initial stages, obviously working with you as a personal carer, but that was as I was waiting to move to the United States. So I've been coaching football, or as I call it over there, soccer, for the last 5 years. But yeah, I've recently graduated, as you mentioned, as a doctor. So now I'm looking to shift into mental performance consulting.
So, growing up, was the GCSEs A levels based around sport?
GCSEs, I remember I didn't have a lot of choice. The school kind of, I can't remember how they were doing it back then, but I had a very limited amount of selections based on my academic standings. So I had to choose a language as one of my options, and I had to choose,
Yeah.
and then I got like a few options. So I chose PE as a GCSE and also done BTEC PE during that time as well. But I actually also I was a musician in those days, so I also done music as one of my options. And then obviously language. And I think I had to take religious education as well. So that kind of rounded out my choices. And then, like I said, when I went to college at South Downs College, I was on the performance, sport and performance BTEC or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what it was termed, but yeah, very much sport at college.
And then, before we get to Solent, was a big part of your life. And before that, oh, no, actually, no, it was in between that. Let's go on to Solent. Solent, 2015, you were there up until 2018. So you did the 3 years of a BA with honours of football studies. So that's what you did. How was the degree?
I really, really enjoyed it. I know it has some connotations around it in terms of studying football as a undergraduate degree. But I think I really appreciated about it was the opportunity to explore football in different perspectives. So a lot of stuff on like analysis, coaching, psychology, sociology, really looking into football from those different perspectives and understanding like what it means and how it contributes to society, and on the performance side as well, how what it means to reach the elite level and how you can support elite performers. So I had a fantastic few years on that degree. And like I said, it kind of paved the way towards where I'm working now. And that kind of came out in my dissertation aspect, where I conducted a study on football goalkeepers and looked at their reactions to stress in terms of their emotions and coping responses when they're faced with low and high stress in their performance environment.
And because a few times over the years of that degree, you went, when it was like May till September, you went to a summer break camp, didn't you, in America?
Yes, so the very first year I heard about those opportunities to travel over to America for the summer. And apart from like family holidays, I hadn't really done a lot of traveling. So I thought, oh, I'd love to give that a go. So during my time at Solent University, I was working for Enable Ability, which is a charity in Portsmouth, supporting young people with disabilities and providing sporting opportunities for them. And so when I was looking for that opportunity in America, this camp called Camp Costopulus in Utah saw that my work with the disabled population and asked if I'd be interested in spending my summer working on their camp. So I spent the summer looking at or working with and taking care of young people and adults with various disabilities, providing them opportunities to participate in activities like canoeing. We went on high ropes courses, horseback riding. That's the American part of me coming out there. and yeah, we had a lot of fun. During the weeks, they would stay over on the camp, so it would provide their carers and parents or guardians, whoever was watching them, a little bit of a rest and break from them. So they would stay over on the camp, and we would watch them overnight and ensure that all of their needs were met as they were at camp. And then often saw them multiple times during that summer. So when they came back, we'd have a good time.
And some of the listeners might be going, "Oh, I can feel a connection between you going to America for the last 5 years and then you going for you met your future wife there as well."
Yeah, so my now wife was working on that camp as well. She is from Utah, so we kind of dated that summer, and then a year later we got engaged, and then the December 2017 was when we got married. So that's when it kind of started the process of me trying to move to the States.
So they did, and so after you graduated, you didn't want to stay on in the UK for a masters at that point after Solent in 2018. You decided you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I was considering it, but like I said, I'd started my process of immigrating to the States, so time-wise, I wasn't sure if it would line up. Yeah, I was looking at the University of Winchester, I think, and yeah, decided to wait and hold off until I moved to the States to carry on with my education.
Yeah, and obviously there's a bit of a gap there between your BA and then your masters. Obviously, you worked with me, which was quite nice actually, I think. But it's a bit of a shame it lasted, but it did feel a bit longer actually.
Yeah, it was the best 4 months of my life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was such a good time. I really enjoyed my time with you. So.
I think, yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. And so you eventually got to the States around Christmas 2018. So I mean, your family must have been happy about you moving out just before Christmas.
Yeah, yeah, that was so I actually moved on Christmas Day. I don't know if you remember that. It was a very weird Christmas day. So I booked my flight without having my passport, like receiving my passport back yet from the embassy. Just hoping that I would come back in time, because flights on Christmas are very cheap, in case you were wondering. And I actually got my passport back Christmas Eve, but then also my brother went into hospital on that Christmas Eve. So then my parents, or my mum, was in hospital with him. So I kind of said my goodbyes to them on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, woke up. It was just my dad and my brother around, I think. So most of our family weren't even at my house at that point. And then we kind of just drove to the airport. My dad said goodbye to me on Christmas Day, and then because of time difference, I arrived in the US still on Christmas Day. But then a few delays over there. I didn't quite get to Utah until Boxing Day, but yeah, it was a long Christmas Day that day.
Yeah, that must have been a very weird Christmas for you then.
Yeah.
And so after you arrived, back. No, sorry, let's go back a bit. I've missed out a few things there. So you actually coaching with the Hampshire FA at Solent as well.
Yes, so myself and a few of my classmates, part of the degree is to do a project for Hampshire FA. So our project was veteran football, providing opportunities for older population. So yeah, we set up some football sessions and leagues for the Hampshire FA in Southampton area.
Yeah, and then back to the States now. So after the weird Christmas you had, did you not start in Wales until the following academic year? So September 2019, is that right?
So I started Yeah, I started around September 2019. So once I got to the States, I started looking at programs, applied for a couple, and then had to go through interview processes and stuff. So yeah, it was about September when I started.
So what did you do between that gap between January till September? What did you do?
I was working as a football coach in the States, so yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. The structure is very different in the States. So as a coach, I was actually in a paid position, which was very nice. I coached two teams initially when I moved over there. So I had two under 9 teams who I coached 2 sessions a week plus games. So often I was out most evenings, which my wife was very pleased about. But yeah, it was really fun to work with that age group. I love working with the younger population. So that was for a football club in my local area, but then also I was working for Challenger Sports, which I'm sure a lot of people in the UK in the football field are familiar with. So I was working initially as a coach for them, but then actually transitioned to an area manager. So I looked after the Utah schools. So that was working in their preschools and delivering sessions for 2 to 5 year olds, which is incredibly fun and challenging and energy and just everything. So if you ever get that opportunity, I recommend it. You might not survive very long, but it is a lot of fun to be able to work with those ages. But then also with my goalkeeping background, I have goalkeeping coaching badges as well. So I ran the goalkeeper program for that club as well, which was really awesome. Initially, I started as just the goalkeeper coach, but then again transitioned to the head of goalkeeper development for them. So I was overseeing the whole goalkeeper program for those 8 year olds all the way through to 18 year olds. So again, it was delivering sessions, but then also looking at that long-term plan, providing other opportunities for them. And I even sourced the club's own goalkeeper gloves that they could sell to those goalkeepers at a discounted rate. Really just doing everything that I could to make it affordable and support those goalkeepers in any way that I could.
Well, I'm a super working for the FI at this point. Um, yeah, so you went off to the University of Western States. You're more so you did it in sports and performance psychology. 2019. So why did they make take 3 years? Was it COVID related or?
So it was 2 years. So started in 2019, graduated in 2021. So the reason it took 2 years was I was doing it part time alongside my coaching. So I was taking a couple of classes at a time, which yeah ended up being about 2 years to complete. But yeah, it was an online program. So I got to do that just on my laptop when I had the chance. During that time, obviously I had my son, so I was juggling being a full-time dad, coaching in the evenings, and then also taking my degree part-time as well.
And what a very apt name for a son, Kit. Obviously, you being a footballer, so almost
Yeah, Kit Cassidy-Rice. Look out for the name in the future.
yeah, yeah. I'll be looking forward to that. And then so after, so it makes sense online actually because during COVID it was online anyway, so that's
Mhm.
sort of up. And then, so what made you want to do a doctor's then? After
Um, Yeah, good question. So, for those of you not very familiar with the field of sports psychology, it is a protected term. So, they really do make sure that you are kind of credited and licensed to kind of be practicing in the field. So, part of my route to becoming a certified mental performance consultant, which I've just put my application in for, so I can't officially call myself that yet, but in the coming weeks or months, that should be going through. But to be able to call yourself that, you need to have completed certain amount of university classes, plus mentorship hours. So part of the doctoral program that I completed at University of Western States included those mentorship hours. So I knew that that's what I was going for. So decided that it would be good for me to continue my education, to be able to apply for that CMPC certification as soon as I had finished my degree, but also because in the field I want to be supporting clients that I work with in the best possible manner, and having that extra education I knew would be beneficial for me actually delivering services to the athletic population.
So that was the Doctor of Education, EDD. What does that mean? What does that stand
Yeah.
for?
So Doctor of Education, it's doctoral level education, just slightly different than a PhD. So my defense, which I completed just a couple of weeks ago, basically what I'd done is during my mentorship experience, which was kind of like the final part of my education, I was working on developing my theoretical orientation to performance excellence, which sounds very scary, but basically it's just the way that I view clients that I'm working with through a theoretical background. So everything that I do is evidence-based and taken from literature. And it's just kind of the way that I examine clients presenting problems and what issues they're having within performance, and then how I can then apply the theory to determine long-term interventions and how I can support them. So basically during my defense, I brought up the theories that make the most of my work with clients, and then how I kind of view that process and helping them reach performance excellence, and then also where I might be spotting performance breakdowns. But then also I had to take a case that I'd been working on, so one of the clients that I'd been working with, and just demonstrate how I had been applying those theories to the work that I'd been doing with this client. So it was a 2-hour presentation to a doctoral committee on yeah, you don't want to do that, Peter. On basically my theoretical background, and then how I applied that theory to a client that I'd been working with.
I was going to say, you're rather you than me. That sounds like a very busy process. If that was me, I'd be like, "No, I'll stuff that. I'm not doing that." So, yeah, you've done very well. Well done for that. And then during that time, so I'm assuming that was part time as well then? Online, part time.
The doctoral program, yeah. So again, I took about 2 classes at a time, part time.
Also. And then sort of part time, because you then went on to work as an assistant coach, as coach, goalkeeper, and coach, all of that, and then a mental performance coach as well around that time as well. And then you joined Murray, well, we should say soccer, basically, but it's football, soccer. Murray's Soccer Club in New York. So that must have been quite a nice. So you were a head coach, a technical trainer, and a goalkeeper and program co-coordinator. So quite a lot of different roles there.
Yeah, so Murray Soccer Club, that was what I was doing in Utah. And then mental performance coach, that was working in Florida.
Yeah. And how did you enjoy that then?
I absolutely loved it. So that was my first paid position in the field that I'm entering. And it was a really awesome experience. So I was a summer mental performance coach for IMG Academy. So IMG Academy is a very large high school in the States. For example, they have like 23 football fields, or I should say soccer fields for them, for a high school, right? Absolutely amazing facilities. Soccer or football is just one sport that they do. That was one of 9 sports that I worked in over the summer. So basically my role was I would get a group of athletes. So whether that was a baseball team or a baseball group of athletes or a basketball group of athletes, and I would deliver mental skills training to them. So we'll kind of discuss situations that would arise in their performance, and then I would provide mental skills that they could use to kind of overcome those challenges or difficulties that they might face. So for example, sticking with the stress topic, one of the sessions that we delivered was dealing with pressure. So we would teach like breathing techniques and thought control techniques to kind of help athletes in those situations. And again, making it sport specific for them. So if I was working with the basketball group, we'd kind of pull out situations where they face pressure in basketball and then talk through how they could use these skills within those scenarios. And then practice them within the session so that as they were going through their practices outside of our time together, they understood how to use these skills and start actually implementing them into their trainings with the goal that they can then use those skills in their performances as well. I also provided visual training for these athletes, some of these athletes as well. So IMG Academy have this whole thing called the Mind Gym, which you go in and there's all these different visual training activities. For instance, there's like dyno boards, concentration tiles, and we'll take athletes around those different stations and help them apply some of these mental skills as well as developing their visual training as well.
Pressure. I mean, you certainly you had to do that with me, didn't you? That was helpful. So yeah, so how did you get into those three jobs then? You started off with a head coach, didn't you? First of all, or assistant coach, and then you went on to technical trainer and then goalkeeper and plug. So how did you get from one to another then?
Yeah, so when I first moved to the States, I was kind of looking at different ways that I could get involved in football. And fortunately, my connection at Challenger Sport knew the technical director at the time at Murray Soccer Club. So kind of got in touch with him, and he initially brought me in as a technical trainer, which was basically each evening during the week, I would get different teams from the club and we would work on different techniques. So I got to work with a variety of ages and both male and female teams, which was really awesome. And then from there, got offered the position as head coach. So then that's when I took my U9 teams and worked with them for a few years, and then just continued to get offered work from that club as a goalkeeper coach and then head of goalkeeping.
And so that was last year. And so obviously you went over to the States because your now wife's there, Brittany, and you decided to live with her. Then you decided to come back to the UK. I mean, how did that process work then? Was that always the plan? 5 years in the States and then move back here permanently, or what was the plan?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was particularly like a time frame in mind. I have dual citizenship now. I moved over on a spousal visa, and so part of that process was gaining dual citizenship. And then once I have had dual citizenship, we kind of looked at our options and decided that we would like to move back over to the UK and kind of look for employment over here. But the nice thing is I now have the flexibility. If jobs are to arise in the US, then I'm able to just move back over. So yeah, it's really, really cool to have that opportunity.
And you're staying here now. You're not going back again.
You won't let me leave again, will you, Peter?
No, not again. No. So it's heartbreaking enough. Another time, you'll just no. So yeah, nice to have you back in the UK anyway. And so, and with you then left the States to come back here. Surely your family must be happy with that.
Yeah, very happy. They love having us back. So I'll mention that have Kit. My wife and I have another son, Keo, who's just a year and a half now. So they're really excited to be around my kids again, and obviously happy to see me and Brittany. So
And so you're a lecturer now at the university. What's the AECC stand for then?
Anglo-European Chiropractic College.
Okay, better call
Mouthful.
it the AECC then.
Yeah.
So what sort of lecturing then are you doing with them then now?
Yeah, so very new. I'm just starting. So if you are already on the degrees and you're not familiar with me yet, probably because I haven't been introduced yet. But yes, I'm a associate lecturer in sport and exercise psychology. So primarily right now, I'll be working on the MSc sport and exercise psychology program for the university. So I'll be working on their asynchronous courses online. So looking to see how we can continue to develop education there and kind of support the students as they work in that online format. Obviously, I have a big background in that experience, so I'm excited to kind of see how I can support those students. And I will be leading the module on the applied experience uh, the applied experience unit. So that will involve me working with those students as they go out and kind of gain experience in the field and providing support for them as they start working with athletes. And then come January, I should be also teaching in person for undergraduate students. So again, working on applied sports psychology unit and kind of demonstrating how these theories that we talk about in the field can be actually applied to the sporting setting and used to support athletes.
And that's obviously face to face in Bournemouth, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you're coming.
Yeah, so right now I'm 100% remote. It will shift into more of a hybrid role as I then balance the online components and also doing some teaching in person.
Yeah. This is the 26th of September recording. It's not going to come out till like late October, so you've got a bit of time to sort of
Oh,
introduce
okay, yeah.
everyone.
Okay, so if any of my students are watching this, hello.
Well, they'll have to research quite hard to find you on this YouTube channel.
You never know, it's a small world, Peter.
Yeah, small world. Yeah, and then so was I as a young goalkeeper, did you think that you would get to this stage in your life where you're coming back, you've got your sport lecturing? Did you think you would get into that as a kid?
No, as a kid, like I'm sure many of us dreamed of being professional. So I always had my eyes on being a professional footballer. And I don't regret that at all. I think that's kind of what led me up to this point in my life. And obviously that desire to work in football from that dream kind of paved the way for me to get involved in this field. And I absolutely love working as a mental performance coach, being able to support athletes and understand what issues they might be facing and how I can teach them mental skills to support them through that process is really just a fantastic position. And there's nothing quite like being able to have these conversations with athletes and kind of get to know them and understand how I can support them best, but then also just watch them take these skills and flourish with them and actually start using them in performance, and watching them perform to their best is just, yeah, it's just really awesome. And I love being in that helping position.
You're a professional's dream, aren't you? You know.
Hey, I'm a doctor now, Peter. I have to maintain my appearance, right?
You do. You do. And so now with your doctorate and everything else, the future, obviously you're a lecturer now, but would there be some sort of career path for you with this, for any future dreams or anything like that?
Yeah, so just part-time lecturer. That's just a part-time position. So I'm also setting up my own company, or I'll be working as a sole trader under my own name, Miles Cassidy-Rice. So I'll be working with athletes on mental skills training within that mental performance role. So like I said, certified mental performance consultant application is in process. So once I have that solidified, then I will be accredited with the Association for Applied Sports Psychology and plan to work as a mental performance coach. So really that's just working with athletes and other performers. Doesn't have to just be within the sports setting. Like mentioned, my degrees in performance psychology as well. So that could be like musicians, working within the theatre setting, performing artists, all kind of different individuals really. They might have problem with like nervousness before competing, something that's negatively impacting their performance. They'll come to me and I'll kind of work through the issue with them, see what's going on, and then develop a long-term plan to kind of work on some skills that can help them, with the goal being that they can then use those skills themselves to achieve performance excellence. So whenever they face those issues in the future, they have some skills in their toolbox that they can pull out, and then be able to perform to a high level, because they have that experience of working with me.
That sounds very interesting. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm currently working on my website. By the time this is up in October, that should be up and running. And then, if you're interested or know someone that's interested in these kinds of services, feel free to reach out to me. I can deliver in person and virtually, so I can support you wherever you are in the country or outside of the country if you reach an international audience, Peter.
Yeah, that's everything. So thank you very much for coming on, Miles. Dr.
Yeah,
Miles.
thank you so much for having me. No, you can call me Miles, Peter.
There you go. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Voice. Let's go. Voice FM.